Vanakkam. I'm Vayoni Dimel. This is Boston Lanka News, bringing you news, views and entertainment from Boston and USA. Sri Lanka has rejected the US request to help with the war in Afghanistan. 3 Sri Lankan Canadians who were with LTTE renounce violence. Americans protest against big, rich, greedy corporations in New York. Sri Lankan local government elections were relatively peaceful and fair, according to election monitors. Thugs carry illegal weapons openly with the blessings of some ruling party politicians, says MP Dayasiri Jayasekera. Human rights groups in indecent hurry to vilify Sri Lanka ahead of the release of the LLRC report, according to Ambassador Ariyasinghe. We are living in fear since the killing of my brother, says the sister of Mr. Premachandra. We are all Sri Lankans. Let's work together, says Jennifer Rasiah, Sri Lankan-born fashion model. U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Robert Blake actively have sought the help of Sri Lanka Army in the US-led war in Afghanistan, reveals the WikiLeaks document. According to the leaked classified cable of the US Embassy, in a meeting that took place in Colombo on 8 December 2009 with Sri Lanka Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Blake raised the possibility of Sri Lanka contributing to US-led coalition operations in Afghanistan, noting that would be a significant step in support of improving military-to-military engagement. Cable also reveals that Gotabaya Rajapaksa had reservations about Blake's request due to the serious implications Sri Lankan government may have to face with the Muslim minority, as well as the danger of drawing the anger of groups like Al-Qaeda if Sri Lankan government sent troops to Afghanistan. Blake emphasized American and international expectations and concerns about accountability and reconciliation, and urged the Sri Lankan government to make every effort to show it had investigated and, when appropriate, held accountable members of the military alleged to have committed human rights abuses or war crimes. The cable said, adding that Gotabaya's reply was that the military was taking action. In his meeting with Gotabaya, Blake suggested that the government of Sri Lanka exchange further information about LTTE networks with the US counterterrorism experts. We incorrectly believed that violence could achieve the goals that we sought, wrote the former LTTE rebels who were arrested in New York for trying to purchase $1 million worth of surface-to-air missiles and AK-47 assault rifles. 5 years after they were caught buying arms in New York, the 3 Sri Lankan-born Canadians have signed an open letter from prison acknowledging they were wrong and renouncing political violence. Sathajan Sarachandran, Tiruthanikam Thanigasalam and Sahilal Sabaratnam, writing from prison, says, "We now realize that what we did was not helpful in leading to a positive resolution of the issues that existed in Sri Lanka. The rejection of armed militancy is a complete reversal for the Toronto men who were part of the international weapons procurement network that supplied the Tamil Tigers during Sri Lanka's long civil war." The protesters are angry about the 2008 Wall Street bailout that they say allowed banks to reap huge profits while average Americans suffered high unemployment and job insecurity. The demonstrators are also campaigning against other social and economic inequalities, including the gap between rich and poor as well as what they regard as a corrupt political system. Last Thursday, President Obama acknowledged the frustration and anger of the protesters. Camped out for 4 weeks now in a lower Manhattan park, the activists, who say they were inspired by the Arab Spring and have tapped social media to expand their protest to dozens of cities, including Los Angeles and Boston, have focused their anger on corporate America and especially on the banks. Their core message is simple. The big, rich corporations were responsible for the recession and have largely escaped the consequences. Kirti Tennakone, the executive director of the Campaign for Free and Fair Elections, said that overall there was a peaceful atmosphere prevalent during election day October 8, except for the very unfortunate incident that occurred in Mullairiyava. However, he went on to note that there was heavy violation of election laws in the run-up to the elections. There was heavy misuse of state property and the law enforcement authorities did not act as was expected. There was also illegal propaganda and campaigning which marred the polls, he said. UNP Kurunegala District MP Dayasiri Jayasekera, speaking to the media, said that the authorities should have investigated the allegations he made in Parliament last Thursday instead of ordering him out of the House. Jayasekera was removed from the House on Thursday by parliamentarian A.H.M. Azwar, who was at the chair for making inflammatory remarks. Mr. Jayasekera was speaking about the thuggery and intimidation prevailed in the country. The crux of my speech was that there is no rule of law in this country. Thugs who are close to politicians have with them illegal weapons. There are gangs that operate with the ruling party politicians, he said. It was political terrorism that had killed my brother, said Asela Premachandra, brother of former parliamentarian Bharata Lakshman Premachandra. Mr. Premachandra's sister Swarna Gunaratna urged the government to do justice to her late brother by carrying out a proper investigation on his killing. We are living in fear since the killing of my brother and all we want is to live peacefully, she added.
මේ කළගුණ දත් සියලුම ජනතාවගෙන් මා ඉල්ලා සිටින්නේ ඒ නිර්භීත ජනනායකයා පෙන්නපු ඒ මාර්ගය අපි මේ මොහොතේ ඉඳලා ගමන් කරමු. මේ කතාව අවසන් කරන්න කලින් මම මේ ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්න ජනතාවගෙන් එක ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහන්න කැමතියි. මෙලෙස අවාසනාවන්ත ලෙස අසාධාරණ ලෙස මිලෙන්ච මිනි මරවන්න තින් මරුන් කාපු මගේ තාත්තා වෙනුවෙන් ඔයගලන්ට මොකද්ද කරන්න පුළුවන්? ඔහු වෙනුවෙන් ඔයගලන්ට මොකද්ද කරන්න පුළුවන්?
Family members of Mr. Premachandra alleged that the authorities turned a deaf ear to their repeated requests to provide adequate security to their brother. They said they made this request in writing as they had come to know of an ongoing plot to assassinate him. Meanwhile, it was reported in the media that parliamentarian Duminda Silva's official bodyguard, who was alleged to have shot Mr. Premachandra, was remanded till October 18th. Ravinatha Ariyasinghe, Sri Lanka's ambassador to Belgium, Luxembourg and the EU, has said the timing of the screening of the film Sri Lanka's Killing Fields at the European Parliament was particularly sinister, coming on the eve of the presentation of the LLRC report due next month. The film was screened at the European Parliament on October 12th. The ambassador said it would appear that Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch and the International Crisis Group, who sponsored the screening, are intent on prejudging and discrediting the LLRC report even before it is released. He added that this indecent hurry to host such events and to call for international inquiries is probably due to their fear that once the LLRC report comes out, they will be short of one further excuse with which to continue their obsessive attack on the government of Sri Lanka. Jennifer Rasiah left Jaffna with her parents when she was a child. Now living in Los Angeles, Jennifer has begun to get noticed as a fashion model by photographers. Recently, she posed for the well-known digital artist Ben Van Moller, and some of her photos are now displayed at the Marian Maya Art Gallery in Newport Beach, California. Jennifer spoke with Boston Lanka about her childhood and her vision for Sri Lanka. Jennifer, you left Sri Lanka and came with your parents to the United States as a child. Could you talk briefly about coming to USA and starting a new life as a child, a different culture away from your extended family?
Sure. When I came out to the U.S., I was a little kid, and definitely the school structure I went to was much different. But when I would come home, I'd still have the cultural structure. We still had the Sri Lankan food, and my mom would prepare like different ethnicity food, because Chinese and whatnot to American style meatloaves. But it was tough in the beginning. Kids would ask, where are you from? And you'd say Sri Lanka, and some would know where it is, and some wouldn't. But what I learned is to educate myself, even as a little kid, about being from Sri Lanka and about where I'm from, definitely, and so that I could educate these others who would have questions such as that. So for me, in the beginning, it was not as easy as I would have wanted it to be to adjust. Of course, all your family, all your grandparents, and all the people that matter to you so much, they're in Sri Lanka on the other side of the world, and here you are. You're lucky. You're with your parents and your siblings, but you don't have. It's not the same. In Sri Lanka, you get up and your family is so close by, and it's just different. Even now, I could say it's different. It's not the same.
When you were leaving Jaffna, the war was raging there. Now that the war is over, do you have anything that you want to tell the people living in Sri Lanka as well as Sri Lankans living abroad?
Yes, I think that we need to harbor more of the positive things. That we need to be more united, as Sri Lankans. Not think I'm Tamil, you're Sinhalese. My family, we don't even think, oh, this person's Sinhalese or this person's Tamil. We just think, oh, that person's Sri Lankan. Sometimes we don't think that way. Just unity so that we can grow, so the country can do better. I think Sri Lanka is just such a gorgeous country, and if the to be honest, if the government could unite the people, then it would be a better place than Hawaii. I think tourism would be off the hook.
If you want to tell about Sri Lanka to an American who does not have much knowledge about Sri Lanka, how would you describe Sri Lanka?
Well, if I were to be a spokesperson for Sri Lanka and speak to an American or a European or anyone, what I would say is Sri Lanka is a country with a lot of beautiful aspects and beautiful people, has a lot of potential, but it's a country that's been held back because of all this war all this negative things that have been happening. Though the war is over, there's so much more that needs to be done. And I don't think that the government of Sri Lanka is doing such a great job with that. So I'm hoping that they will.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was Jennifer Rasiah from Los Angeles. That concludes our news edition. We meet you again with another news edition of News, Views and Entertainment from Boston and USA. Till then, goodbye.